Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we concentrate on fish and chips. Because this week we watched Time Flight.
Written by Peter Grimwade.
Directed by Ron Jones.
And aired in March of 1982. Still in March of 1982.
Yeah. Well, they're airing twice a week now, I think.
Yeah, they are.
I was going to say I haven't actually ever had fish and chips. So...
I ate it last night.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I did.
You did? Okay,
yeah.
What a coincidence. I mean, I'm vegetarian, so...
And I'm not, so...
Well, that much should have been obvious. Well, actually, I guess you could have been pescatarian.
Yeah, pescatarian.
But you just shot that down, so... so no.
Right.
So it begins with a Concorde flying. Captain's like, we're coming in for a landing, and the air traffic control's like, okay, you're good for landing. And they're like, we're gonna land.
This is when you're introduced to all the poorly acted side characters.
You mean... Well, we haven't met Captain Stapley yet. He's okay.
He was alright. The other ones were questionable at best.
Anyway, Concorde's like, "Okay, we're gonna land now. We're gonna land," and the controller's like, "Yeah, okay, you can land." And then they disappear.
Yeah.
The Concorde's gone. It's
yeah. So this was Malaysia Airlines flight. No, I'm just kidding.
I still don't think they found that plane.
No, they didn't.
They found a couple pieces and like, this might be from this plane, but we don't really know. So air travel is safe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is most of the time.
Most of the time, but do you really want to take that chance?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you're on the plane that disappears, then you probably know what happened to you. Unless you, like, get killed or something. Or die.
Yeah, but it's not like you can tell anyone what happened to you because you're gone.
Yeah. But who cares?
I feel like you would.
I might.
So now we cut to the Doctor, Nyssa, and Tegan grieving over Adric's death.
Yeah, they actually... It was kind of nice because they actually, like... Well, they express, like, sentiments that the audience might have. Because, I mean, Tegan even mentions that, like, he wasn't really the best guy around. But she's still gonna miss him. Which is kind of where I stand, too. Like, he was pretty much the worst companion. But, you know, I might miss him. Occasionally.
Yeah, you might be watching an episode and then a companion will just sell out the Doctor and you're like, this guy's just pulling an Adric.
Or the companions will all be working together with the Doctor, and I'll be like, if Adric were here, he wouldn't be involved with this.
Wow.
But he actually makes his cameo later on. So that was kind of nice, I guess.
Well, Matthew Waterhouse was like, yeah, good thing I got killed off because this serial sucked.
Which it didn't. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe he's just saying that because he wasn't a major part of it.
Yeah, maybe he's just saying that to make himself feel better about getting killed off.
Kind of like how, God, whoever played Steven was like, yeah, Peter Purves was like, The Massacre was the best serial of Doctor Who ever.
He's just telling himself that to make himself feel better because it was all about Steven.
Yeah, because that was the Steven serial. He got to be the main character for a serial, so that's why he liked it the best. So.
And maybe that's why it was terrible.
Now, there were other reasons why it was terrible, but that was one of them. Anyway,
this is Time Flight. And the Doctor's like, Adric wouldn't want us to mourn him. And Tegan's like, couldn't you go back and save him? The Doctor's like, no, there are some things that I can't change.
Right.
The beginning of something that becomes super prevalent in the reboot. Fixed points in time. Because they realized that having a TARDIS kind of messed up any emotional impact they wanted anything ever to have. So...
Well, they seemed to pretty much ignore that until now. And, I mean, it really wasn't a big issue.
Well, I guess it never really came up.
I guess with... I mean,
it came up with, speaking of the massacre, right afterwards, Stephen was like, you shouldn't have let all those people die. The doctor's like, I couldn't really save all of them. How history is. They don't think it'd be like it is, but it do.
All right. But yeah, this isn't the massacre. This is
Thankfully. So the doctor's like, well, we'll cheer ourselves up with some cricket at the Great Exposition of 1862 or whatever.
Yeah, so the one time that they're not trying to get to Heathrow.
Yeah, they landed Heathrow.
They landed Heathrow.
And
they keep pronouncing it Heathrow. And I'm like, I guess, is that how the British pronounce it? I just say Heathrow.
Yeah, Heathrow.
Yeah.
Heathrow.
But did you notice that? They were saying it like Heathrow. Like as if it was two words.
Maybe it is two words.
No, I don't think it's two words.
Conglomerated it into
well, I
one
mean,
word.
that's what it is, Heathrow. But like now it's one word. It's just Heathrow. Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's just a little weird to me.
Yeah, they land on the second floor pavilion, I guess. These police cops show up and are like, what are you doing? And the doctor just name drops Unit because he's like, it's the 80s, Unit exists.
He name drops the brig, but unfortunately we don't see him.
Darn.
And Nyssa actually mentions how they should be fine because they're a police box on Earth, and Tegan's like, yeah, we haven't had these in forever.
Which is weird considering...
She's Australian?
Well, that, and I was going to say, in the first serial she was introduced in, her car broke down right next to one.
Well, that was like 1980, and now it's like
the same year.
And now it's like 1982. Things have changed.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure. She wouldn't know, though. She's from 1980, when there were police boxes.
Well, I mean, look, if you're alive in 1982... and you're probably, I guess, in your mid-ish 20s, you're going to know what a police box is and know that they're not around anymore.
Yeah, I'm just saying they were around because her car broke down next to one in her first serial.
Maybe they weren't around and I was just in the serial for convenience sake. I don't know. I truly don't know.
Anyway.
Again, nor does it really matter.
No, and that's not the end of the connections to her first serial.
You know that this isn't her last serial, right?
Well, I know that because
I know that
spoiled for me. Thanks to the BBC. Curse you, BBC. Anyway, now we cut to, I guess, like the guy in charge of the airport.
Yeah, the airport controller is his title. Which I think they just made that up because they didn't know what the actual title was. Or maybe it's real. I really don't know. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about this serial, apparently.
Well, we don't spend a lot of time at Heathrow. We just have LAX.
Oh, Jesus.
Only the greatest airport known to man. So the controller's like, wait, I actually have to explain everything to this dude, really? He actually has credentials?
Well, no, but he has connections, which are more important.
Yeah. I'm just curious to know if the brig heard that the doctor showed up was like, dang, that man, he didn't come to say hello.
I don't know.
Do you think... Nah. I guess I was like, do you think the brig knows the doctor regenerated at this point? But he probably doesn't.
No, why would he?
I don't know.
I mean, they kind of just phased Unit and the brig out without giving him a proper goodbye. Except maybe Yates.
Well, they'll be back.
Okay.
They'll be back.
All right. Were they Arnold Schwarzenegger? Still, they kind of just phased them out. I mean, yeah. Whatever.
So they explain what's going on, and the doctor's like, well, we need to take another Concorde up. And the controller's like, no.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah,
looking
those
back
things are
on
expensive.
The doctor thinks that it passed through some sort of time corridor. He's right.
Yeah.
But not that anyone would believe that, understandably. But
Well.
they end up doing it. They end up sending out another Concorde. And this is when you're introduced to, what's his name?
Stapley.
The Three Stooges. Stapley, who was like okay, and then Scorby and whatever the other guy's name was, who were just terribly acted.
But I liked Stapley.
Wasn't there another semi-important character named Scorby at some point not too long ago?
Probably. Do you remember when we had that theory that every season all the supporting characters would start with a different letter? It was like season 1 was A and season 2 was going to be B, but then that completely threw out the window after the first serial of season 2.
Yeah, no, it kind of just stuck with A for a while, and then now it's just not.
Now they actually have imaginations.
I guess. I mean, we have Stapley and Scorby, so maybe they're on S.
Maybe they don't. Maybe I was mistaken.
Oh yeah, they name drop Varsh, Edric's brother that everyone forgot about. I mean, I didn't remember he had a brother until now.
Yeah, the Doctor name drops Varsh to Nissa and Tegan like they're gonna know who Varsh is. But they're just like, what? So the Concorde lands somewhere, and they get out and they're hallucinating.
Yeah, they're all hallucinating. It lands back at Heathrow, actually. The doctor's like, oh, we're going through the time portal now. And they land back at Heathrow, and the crew is like, oh, really? But they're actually just all hallucinating. They're actually like 130 million years in the past.
Well, I think they are at Heathrow, just 130 million years in the past.
I thought they were somewhere else, because at the end of the serial, the airport controller is like, where's the plane? And they mention some location.
Yeah,
and they're like, just go dig it up.
next to the sewer. Next to something. I guess they were nearby.
Yeah, somewhere
because
nearby, I think.
the sewer they mentioned was in London, so they're within the vicinity of the airport. So the Doctor breaks the hallucinogenic illusion, and they're like, "Oh no, why would you do that to us?" And then they
ignorance is bliss. It's actually my favorite saying, because it's true. But anyway.
They go to the Doctor goes to investigate the other Concorde, and Stapley and co. watch as the TARDIS gets stolen by all the passengers of Gulf Victor Foxtrot, which is the first Concorde that went missing. And then the one that Stapley was on was Gulf Alpha
Something
Bravo.
else. I don't know.
Alpha Foxtrot, maybe? Nah.
Roger.
Roger. So, yeah, that's how episode 1 ends, actually. The Doctor kind of gets captured by some, I think he calls them plasmoids later, or plasmatons.
Yeah, something like that.
They only show up for episode 1, so...
Well, there were some cool aliens in this, but I wish they did more with them.
Yeah.
I mean, even though episode 4 was not really too interesting.
Episode 4 was a lot of filler.
Yeah, I was disappointed with episode 4, but we'll get that when we get to episode 4.
Yes, because right now we're on episode 2, which begins with the Doctor just being let go. They just let him go. And he's like, wow, that was an experience.
Yep, they fire Peter Davison. No.
Just gotta let it go, Pete. No. He tells them to wait while he goes to investigate the Citadel with Stapley and co.
Yeah, because apparently there's a force that's making them hallucinate. And God.
Does it go through them and bind them all?
They kept saying that the force was controlling them and they need to like harness the force. And I'm like, okay. But it's alright, it's just tiny aliens. Microscopic bugs on their skin.
Well, not quite. It's big, not microscopic aliens.
They weren't that big.
Well, they were human-sized.
Yeah, but they had shrunk themselves down into that one being. Into the singularity.
Yeah, but when they were regenerating, they were human-sized. Except when they got shot by the monster's tissue compression eliminator.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Again.
I spoiled who the villain is, too.
You mean it's not Khalid? Yeah, we there are all these cutaway shots to Khalid, who is like just some weird parody of an Arab guy. Who
Yeah, it felt super racist.
Yeah. Yeah. He spoke in his own little language there.
It was just so awkward to watch.
Yeah, it really was. Kind of liked his beard, though. It looked super uncomfortable. Those long strands. And his skin looked like it was... I mean, he looked like...
The crispy monster.
Yeah, his skin looked all necrotized.
Yeah, like the previous incarnation of the monster.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't know that it was going to be the Master before they revealed him. And did you see it coming at all?
No.
No, I didn't either. No. I thought it was just going to be Khalid.
Yeah, they're just going to use this super racist dude for episodes.
Toymaker 2.0. Except I actually more racist than the Toymaker.
Yeah. 1,000,000 times more. So, the Doctor and Stapley get to the Citadel, and they get separated, I think, because Stapley sees the passengers trying to dig into this thing, and he's trying to convince them to break out of it, and then... They meet up with his professor.
Yeah, they meet Hader. Professor Hader.
Hader's gonna hate.
He actually was pretty stubborn for most of this. I mean, at first, he was the only... he's the only one of the
original passengers.
Yeah, original passengers
Foxtrot.
Who wasn't hallucinating, and he thinks they're somewhere in Siberia.
Yeah, so it's
behind
not
the Iron Curtain. He's not hallucinating. He's just misinformed. And the Doctor and co try and convince him that because actually Stapley and Scorby and other guy are pretty quickly convinced that they've gone through a time vortex and the TARDIS is a time machine, and actually stick up for the Doctor later, which was nice.
Which was nice, yeah.
For once, but so they and the Doctor and Nis and Tegan try and convince Hader of the truth, and he's like, they're hallucinating.
And the Doctor's like, no, they're not. They're not.
And Hader continues this. This was the one annoying part of his character, I thought. He continues thinking everyone is hallucinating, even himself, once he's been exposed to all this sci-fi stuff. Because, like, a lot later, like, into episode 3, he's like, we're hallucinating again? I'm like, dude, no, you're not.
Dude, chill. And he's super smug at the end of episode 2.
Bioelectronics? Looks like electronics to me, Doctor. But no, it actually is Bioelectronics or whatever the heck it's called.
I don't know.
It's probably a real term. I think.
I don't know. You can put that in the show notes.
You can throw a spleen into a circuit board and call it bioelectronics.
Why a spleen?
It's the first body part I thought of. Nope, not an arm, not a leg. A spleen.
What does a spleen do?
I don't know. I don't think it does anything. I think it's one of those...
one of those organs we've evolved out of.
Yeah, there's a specific term for that, but I don't remember what it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, they're going to the Citadel.
They go into the Citadel.
Which is where Khalid has brought all the passengers of the original flight because they need to destroy some barrier.
We forgot to mention Nissa's seizure.
Oh, yeah. Nissa's sneezing scene. Where she was, like, dying, but it just looked like she was about to sneeze.
Yeah, and then there's this bubble effect, which was decent. It was the best special effect of this whole serial, which isn't saying much.
Well, this serial looks like they tried to do some more with the special effects, and hey, might have looked good in 82.
It worked in some places and not in others. Like, when they break the illusion in the first episode, where they're all standing on what looks like Heathrow, but it's really obvious that it's been like green screened in, and then you're like, okay, so they're gonna like transition the background when the illusion breaks, but they actually don't. There's like some sort of explosion, and then they're all of a sudden in the landscape. So you start to wonder, why didn't they just film the first scene at Heathrow and then have the explosion anyway?
I don't know.
Why? I mean, because they filmed on location in Heathrow.
They filmed in the planes for the plane scenes.
In the planes.
Snakes on a plane. No.
The Mara on the plane.
Well, I mean, there's some spoiler-ish stuff that I know about
Which
next
makes that
season.
sort of true, right?
But yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Back to Khalid. Well, no, so Nissa's like...
Dying.
She reveals that...
She's controlled by something. We don't know.
Yeah, she reveals that there's like another force. There's the good force and the bad force. Sound familiar?
Well, it's like two sides to the same force. So.
But she gets like trapped there, so the doctor leaves Tegan with her and goes with Stapley. And that's why he goes with Stapley and co. And they go inside, and then he had told Tegan to take Nyssa back to the TARDIS when she woke up, but Nyssa wakes up and is like, we need to go to the Citadel.
Yep.
And Tegan just is like, okay.
So they do that. The doctor and everyone else, I think, meets...
Khalid.
Yeah, Khalid, who says that he's been controlling everyone, and the doctor's like, you haven't been controlling everyone. It's actually the Force that's been controlling you, controlling everyone. And Khalid is just like, yeah, I don't know about that.
But it's
just
actually
the master.
True. I mean, it's actually true, sort of, kind of, I think.
I don't know, because this serial was full of incomprehensible stuff later on.
Well, Nyssa and Tegan get into this inner sanctum, or whatever, that Khalid's been trying to get into. And then Khalid's gonna will the doctor to give him his TARDIS key. Khalid's making up some nonsense about how the spirits have told him of the doctor's TARDIS and how it'll help him escape.
Yeah, why was the master posing as Khalid anyway? Like, what really was the point of all that?
Maybe he just had the costume in the TARDIS and was like, I just want to be free. I want to be myself.
All right. Sure.
They don't explain, by the way, how he escaped from Castrovalva.
They never explain how he escaped from anything, which is fine by me.
Yeah, that's just his thing, I suppose.
So Nyssa and Tegan come to a dead end, and then it just opens for them. So they walk in. Into the inner sanctum.
And then they blow it up. And then it's revealed that Khalid is the master, and he's like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, his face starts oozing this green goop. And then he takes off his mask, and it's the master. Was he using that green stuff to adhere the mask to his face?
And he's like,
He's the
what's
mask? All right, that was bad, even for me.
Oof.
And the doctor, Hader's been trying to convince the doctor that there's a simple, logical, and reasonable explanation for all of this that can be explained with 20th century technology. And the doctor's like, yeah, no, there's not. And then this is when Hader's really smug, when he walks up to the control panel and it's just electronics instead of biotronics, which is, I guess, what we're calling it now.
Yeah, and then this is when the serial starts to lose momentum, because now in episode 3, the monster just pulls out a gun and is like, give me your TARDIS key, doctor.
Yeah.
Or his tissue compression eliminator.
It gets even more anticlimactic in episode 4. Let's be real. But yeah, it does kind of start to lose a bit of
Steam,
yeah.
Yeah, so the doctor isn't going to give him the key at first, but then Stapley's about to attack the master, and the master's like, And the doctor's like, fine, here, take the key. Because apparently the master got trapped there because his TARDIS...
He's on the fritz again.
Yeah. Geez, the master's TARDIS is worse than the doctor's TARDIS at this point.
This serial was actually got a lot more funny when I realized it was just these two rogue guys with their technology broken and stranded, blackmailing each other into fixing their TARDISes. Well, the master was really the only one doing the blackmailing, but I guess the doctor kind of got in on it at the end a bit.
So...
I mean, it's kind of hilarious, right? They're holding all these
passengers and an entire race of aliens hostage.
So they can fix their time machines.
Well, the doctor's is working perfectly fine until Stapley buggers around with it. Yeah, the master goes off in the TARDIS. He wants to use the TARDIS to get into the inner sanctum so he can remove the power source in the inner sanctum and put it in his TARDIS. Yes, this entire serial is fueled by the fact that the master wants to put energy into his TARDIS.
And they introduce that really cool plot point with the aliens and then don't really expand on it. That's why I'm surprised you liked this serial, because this was like almost as ADD, almost as Armageddon Factor, in my opinion. Not quite there, but almost there. With a bit less follow-up on what could have been cool, in my opinion. But hey.
Yeah, and a lot less random plot points that get introduced 6 episodes in.
Hey, Drax was awesome.
I mean, yeah, but what would have been more awesome? Drax introduced in episode 4 or Drax in episode 1 for all 6 episodes?
No, I don't think I could have handled 6 episodes of Drax. 2 episodes of Drax? Yeah. Great. 6 episodes of Drax? No.
Fair enough, I guess.
Anyway, yeah, the Master goes into the Doctor's TARDIS, and Stapley and other two... God, this was actually the worst line of the serial. Scorby, I think it was Scorby the guy with the mustache? I don't know. The guy without the mustache was like, "Oh no!"
Maybe he was trying to be really sarcastic because he thought it was actually just a police box.
That's actually what I thought throughout all of this, is that the guy without the mustache was just super disinterested in everything, and he was being really sarcastic about all the life-threatening that was going on.
Oh no, he's got a gun. We forgot to mention that scene where Stapley's talking with one of the captains, and they're like, I guess Stapley starts snapping into Heathrow mode, and he calls for the professor to snap him out of it. Yeah. But it wasn't really that big of a plot point.
Nah.
Anyway, the doctor's like, well, the inner sanctum's probably inside that thing all the passengers have been trying to dig through, so let's just go let them dig through that thing, and we'll beat the master, probably, maybe.
But they get distracted by something, and when they come back, all the passengers are gone.
But it's open, so they go inside.
Yeah. And another Armageddon Factor connection kind of looked like that computer room. Honestly. Actually, a bit more interesting.
It looked like the inside of an egg to me.
Have you been on the inside of an egg?
No.
You're missing out. No,
Have you?
Think what you want.
Well, it must have been one of those ostrich eggs. Freaking huge. Did you just cut a little hole and, like, put it on your head? You're like, this is my helmet now.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to know how that worked, to be honest.
It didn't work.
Did it break? Or?
That's another story for never.
Okay.
Another untrue story for never. Yeah, they get into the sanctum, and there's a being trapped in there. It looks, I guess it looks kind of like an embryo, so yeah, I guess it was supposed to evoke the inside of an egg. Yeah,
well, Nyssa starts channeling the...
Yeah, they meet Tegan and Nyssa, they're like, Nyssa! No.
They should have been... Well, they can't, not with Adric. Forgot to mention Adric's cameo.
Oh, yeah. Nyssa and Tegan have to face their fears or whatever as they're walking through the caves, and one of them is Adric saying, if you take one more step, I'll die.
Yeah, and Tegan's like, I can't take that chance, and Nyssa's like, look, he's wearing the badge that the doctor smashed into the cyber leader. It's obviously not Adric.
Nyssa's like, a chance to kill Adric? Let's go. No. No. If anyone, Tegan would be the one saying that.
Yeah, then they meet the Melker, which makes sense, because that was the master previously. And then they meet... and then there's a pterodactyl.
That one should have been first. That one really should have been first. It's definitely the least menacing of the three. Not that Adric is menacing, but it's definitely the least scary of the three.
Yeah.
The least likely to scare them of the three.
My question was, how did the monster even know they had encountered the pteroleptons?
Maybe he didn't. Maybe that was just
It was just some alien he had stored in his data banks.
Maybe that I didn't even know whether that was the Master's little trick or not. I was like, maybe that's just the Force. I really didn't know, and
I think it was Khalid's trick.
Yeah, it probably was Khalid. Damn it, Khalid.
So, yeah, and this is about to bond with the embryo, and the professor's like, no, I'm a scientist, so I'm going to bond with the embryo. And the doctor's like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, he sacrifices himself in the most smug way possible.
Yeah, the doctor's like, it'll kill you, and he's like, yes, but I'll know everything.
No. No, I think the professor needs to take a page out of my book / my favorite saying, which is, again, ignorance is bliss. But I guess he doesn't die, because he just fuses with the embryo, and he kind of shows up as like some sort of psychic ghost later on.
Maybe he does die, and he's just a Force ghost.
Maybe. Maybe that's actually what they were going for.
Damn it, Star Wars. So yeah,
he apparently dies.
Yeah, Miss is like, he's dead.
And they're like, we need to get out of here.
But it's all sealed up.
Yeah, and that's how the episode ends. And we also didn't mention the alien being conglomerate embryo thing was just an entire race singularityized into this chicken. Like a 1 week old chicken inside of an egg. But yeah, their sort of backstory was they needed to get to another planet, which is Earth.
Because it was uninhabited.
Yeah, haven't heard that one before, except by the dinosaurs and all the other stuff that was alive back then.
Yeah, does this take place before Earthshock? Because then they would have just inhabited the planet and got destroyed by Adric.
Well, this is like the Jurassic period. So
yes, it would have been. They would have all just gotten wiped out by Adric.
Guess so. Maybe we can include... Maybe everyone who, like, dies from now on should be attributed to Adric? No. Anyway, yeah, they singularity-ized themselves.
Yeah, and two of them pop out to argue about good and evil, and the doctor's like, surely there's more good ones of you than evil ones. And the good ones like, yeah, probably.
It's just the vocal minority. Like the NRA. Anyway. Yeah, the two pop out. They actually had different costumes, which is pretty cool. I like their costumes a lot. They were sort of like a poor man's, whatever that was from Hand of Fear, whatever her name was.
Eldrad.
Yeah, Eldrad. They're a poor man's Eldrad.
They look like their face looks like the new aliens in the upcoming new Star Trek film.
Didn't what's his name just
die? Yeah, Anton Yelchin.
I heard he got run over by his own car.
Yeah, he got crushed between his car and his mailbox, and he suffocated.
What a way to go.
Rest in peace. I guess that means you have to dedicate this episode to him.
Damn it, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No. No, he was actually a good Chekhov, so it kind of sucks that he kicked the bucket, as you would say. But anyway, onto more light-hearted topics like genocide, because the monster is just going to kill this entire race to power his TARDIS.
Yep.
Episode 4 begins. So we also forgot to mention Stapley going into the TARDIS, the Doctor's TARDIS, and buggering around with some of the circuits because he's like, it'll stop the monster from escaping. But originally they wanted to close the door and lock the monster out, but they didn't know which switch did it. And Stapley was about to pull one, and the other guy was like, I wouldn't think it was that one. Which it is, it's the right one. And then they go hide behind a door, and they see the monster close the door with that exact switch, and then they come out, and instead of just closing the door and locking the monster out, they fiddle around with the circuits.
Yeah, I don't know.
What? Well, anyway, Stapley Ghost...
Plot convenience for later.
Professor Ghost shows up and pilots the TARDIS into the inner sanctum.
Yeah.
Doctor's like,
thanks, Professor.
Convenient. And the Professor never shows up again.
Yep. I guess he gets wiped out by Adric, too. I mean, since he's conglomerated with... What's their faces?
Yeah.
The Xeraphim, I think they were called. Which, I mean, I don't know that I guess this was supposed to evoke or be a reference to like the Seraphim, because like Khalid was supposed to be like some Arab guy, and like the Seraphim from biblical Middle Eastern mythology. So I really don't know. Not that it ever comes up in episode 4 when you think it would, but yeah, episode 4 was a major letdown.
Yeah, it was actually. Because now the Doctor escapes in the TARDIS to the Concorde, and the Master's taken some pieces from the Doctor's TARDIS. He's like, dang, now we can't leave. and this is like, but what about the Xeraphim in the Master's TARDIS? And the Doctor's like, we'll figure it out. We'll save him somehow.
They never figure it out.
Yeah, the Doctor kind of just does something and crosses his fingers that they'll escape.
They see the Master's TARDIS trying to take off as the Concorde.
Golf Victor Foxtrot.
It doesn't work. Because Scorby...
Yeah, he switched around the circuits in the Doctor's TARDIS, and the Master took the wrong circuit. You'd think the Master would know which circuit to take, but he kind of just took the one that was in the position that he should have taken instead of looking for the one he actually should have taken.
Seems like a Master-ish mistake. And a Doctor-ish mistake.
Yeah, the Doctor's about to yell at Nyssa for messing up the circuits, and Stapley's like, no, that was me. And he's like, that was genius, Stapley.
I like how when the passengers leave the Master's TARDIS, it materializes as the column again.
Yeah, why?
Because they wanted to save some budget by just having them walk out of a column instead of an aircraft, even though they had access to the aircraft.
Well, whatever. They needed the other Concorde for repairs anyway.
Yeah, so the Master and the Doctor bargain. The Doctor says that the Master needs to let everyone go.
Couldn't the Master just kill the Doctor and go into his TARDIS and take the piece he needs? He still has that freaking gun.
I don't know.
And yet he bargains with the Doctor anyway.
I don't think he wants to kill the Doctor.
He seemed pretty trigger happy earlier. No one actually dies in this serial though, surprisingly.
Unless you count Hater.
Which we're not. Because he came back as a spirit ghost thing.
It's probably the first Master serial where nobody dies.
That's impressive.
So yeah, they kind of just mess around for the rest of episode 4, really. They don't really expand on...
There's a MacGyver montage where they fix up the Concorde.
And...
They take off, and there's some stock footage of the Concorde taking off, but they've just superimposed some rocks over to make it look like it's taking off from the Jurassic period. The Master here kind of just not falls flat, but it was just really anticlimactic how he just kind of leaves. I mean, yeah. Well, so he takes the piece in the Doctor's TARDIS and takes off, and he's like, oh man. And the Doctor's like, well, to test it, he has to go to Heathrow. And the Doctor's like, but we'll get there first, because we're taking the Concorde. I guess they're playing up some product placement there.
No, didn't he have like some piece of technology that would allow them to get there first?
I think he just introduced a latency factor into the piece that he gave the Master. The time flow analog.
Yeah, that's what it was. Tegan was like, there was this weird scene where Tegan was like, how are we going to get there first? And the Doctor's like, because I have something or the other that allows us to get there first. And then Tegan was like, but how does that allow us to get there first? And the Doctor's response is just, it does. More or less.
Yeah, now they do the most pseudoscience ending yet, because the Concorde flies and the Doctor's like, as we dematerialize, we'll kick the Concorde onto the time contour.
Seems legit.
And it works, and then they materialize on the roof, and then the Concorde lands. and some police show up to arrest the doctor, and then we cut to Stapley and co. talking with the airport control. They've been gone for 24 hours apparently, and they're like, they're trying to explain the story, and the control's like, yeah, this is BS. I don't believe you. And they're like,
until he sees the TARDIS,
and it's like, damn, police box again. What the hell?
Tegan goes off on her own.
Yeah,
Tegan she's back in her own element, I guess.
If you don't know what happens, which I guess we kind of do, you'd think Tegan just pulls a dodo now and just goes away without saying goodbye to the doctor.
Well, she always meant to come back. She comes back right as the TARDIS is dematerializing. And I guess she thought the doctor and Nyssa wouldn't leave without her.
Yeah, they left because the police were about to arrest them. Like, no, nope.
Yeah, they thought she was in the TARDIS, basically. Yeah. And she comes back.
They didn't see her leave.
Yeah, so she comes back, and she looks pretty distraught. And, I mean, if you didn't know that she comes back, which we do, spoiler, she comes back, then, yeah, this... I'm actually glad we spoiled it, because we would have given her a retrospective here. Yeah. And then, like, next serial, she would have come back.
Yeah, it would have been really awkward.
But yes, this is not the last we've seen of Tegan. And you know how and when she goes out.
I don't know how, but I know the serial she goes out in.
Yeah, I think I do too. I think, so don't say it.
Okay, I won't say anything.
Pretty sure okay, I'm not going to mention it.
No, just don't say anything.
Okay.
So Stapley's like, I thought you were going with the doctor. She's like, so did I, but it ends. But we also forgot how they got rid of the master and quote-unquote saved the Seraphim. Apparently the Master's TARDIS is going to try and materialize in the same place as the Doctor's TARDIS, which doesn't work even though we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, it was in Logopolis. It happened in Logopolis. And Time Monster.
So, but anyway, the Doctor does some nonsense with the controls and the Master's TARDIS gets booted into the sixth dimension. It gets booted back to the Seraphim planet, which apparently isn't all irradiated anymore because it's 1982 and not the Jurassic era. And the Doctor's like, yeah, they'll probably escape and regenerate, and hopefully we'll never see the Master again. But that's...
And they don't. They never see the Master again.
That's a lie.
So yeah, this is actually... I mean, kind of a way to end the season, you know, with Tegan unintentionally getting kicked off. Or leaving, not getting kicked off. Well, at least
they left a cliffhanger for them to resolve next year.
That's what I'm saying. Not as big of a cliffhanger as season 18, really, but...
Season 18 was the regeneration.
Yeah.
Well, the regeneration's always going to be the biggest cliffhanger.
Of course, but this is a pretty big one, too.
Yeah, well, this one also, in my opinion, was a pretty good season finale, again, because it kind of brought back everything in the season.
I guess,
brought back the Master, who we saw...
Castrovalva
in the beginning of the season. Kind of... hopefully wrapped up that storyline with Tegan and Nyssa and the Master, and maybe they can do something new with him next time. What else was I going to say? Yeah, kind of a letdown in episode 3 and 4, though.
Yeah.
But not as bad as everyone says it is. And by everyone, I mean Matthew Waterhouse. And, I don't know. Some people really hate this serial.
I read that this was ranked at one point like 196th best story out of 200.
It's definitely not that bad.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Well, it was like, apparently it was ranked like really high, close to when it aired, and then after some prominent reviewers came out and like, the serial sucks, everyone kind of just boarded the bandwagon and was like, yeah, the serial sucks.
Reviewers, am I right?
Aren't we like kind of reviewers?
Yeah, but we're not professional reviewers.
Yeah, nor do we claim that any of our claims hold any merit. We're just two guys with some microphones.
Yeah, so that makes us better immediately than any professional reviewers. It really does. I never pay any heed to professional reviews of anything. Movies, TV shows, anything. I always look at, well, just regular user reviews.
Yeah. That's probably a better way to judge if anything's good or not, but we should probably actually do our season retrospective now, because we always do those haphazard and hastily thrown together.
Less detail.
Season 19, so we're officially 1/3 of the way through Peter Davison's tenure on the show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know Tegan's coming back, but if you didn't, then this season had two pretty major companion Wright
Wright
outs.
outs.
I mean, Adric dying, Tegan not intending to leave, but missing her flight, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have come as quite a shock, quite an Earth shock. All right, that was even worse, but my puns are surprisingly less on point lately.
Yeah, gotta
You
get
can
back
never
on
say
your
they
game.
were. But yeah, I mean, this season had some pretty out there stories like Kinda and this one.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other side, it had some pretty fluff stories like Black Orchid.
I don't know, I felt they did a lot with the companions here. And I mean, going into this, you were like, they're not going to do the 3 companion TARDIS right. And I was like, they are. And I think there was kind of a mix of that, to be honest. There were some points where it really did feel like all the companions were doing something, and some points where they just flat out weren't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay.
I mean, last week we predicted that they'd get another companion this week, which turned out to be completely wrong.
No, didn't we just say, like, oh, I wonder if they're going to have another companion? I don't think we said that they were. We just kind of wondered it aloud.
I think we said
I don't remember what we said.
I don't remember. Or we might have said that we think they'll stick with the 2 companions. I don't know. We predicted something, and
one way or the other.
we were either right or we were wrong, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's really only 2 outcomes of predicting something.
No, you could be like 50% right.
I like, we didn't mention when the Doctor flipped a coin in
yeah,
the serial
he
to
pulled an
decide which way
Adric.
to go, but then it's not the way he wants to go, so he turns it back over.
Yeah, I wrote a note about that. Pulling an Adric, I see. It was in episode 2.
Yeah.
He was pulling Warrior's
A
Gate.
blind cat.
Blind cat. At
Yeah,
least we never
Warrior's
have to hear that again.
Me going on about how Adric is a blind cat.
Yeah. So, I'm actually curious to see how they get Tegan back onto the TARDIS.
It's probably something anticlimactic. Like, they just come back.
Just next season just starts with her on the TARDIS. Like, good to be back, guys.
No, but what would be even worse is if they just rematerialized a second after they leave, bring Tegan in, and then go. And trust me, it's gonna be something like that.
I was kind of hoping Stapley would be a companion, because I actually really liked Stapley.
Yeah, I thought he might be a companion, but no.
But he's got his own ship to pilot.
Yeah, which is the Concorde. A less cool ship, but a
Hey,
more functional ship.
The Concorde's pretty cool, okay? If you exclude sci-fi ships, the Concorde's one of the coolest airplanes made. Let's be honest
I like the
here.
Wright Flyer.
I mean, that was pretty cool, too. It was also, like, janky as heck, but, you know.
Actually, I like those late 1800 planes. Are just like some guy flapping his wings.
There's a really funny one. I'll see if I can find the video for you to put in the show notes. It's just like an umbrella, and it's just being pulled up and down, and it's just jumping up and down off the ground. It's like, yeah, that's gonna work.
Anyway, I really did enjoy, despite Adric. God, someone's bad when you can say despite and then their name. So despite Adric, I really did like the Adric Nyssa Tegan TARDIS. Nyssa and Tegan are some of the best companions, in my opinion.
No, they work really well together. And I mean, I agree with you. So far as I liked it when they weren't all yelling at each other and arguing, which is like mostly Adric's fault. So, this serial, it felt like Nyssa Tegan and the Doctor is a good TARDIS crew, and I'm actually kind of want them to just stick with those 2 companions and not introduce another third one.
Yeah, I would say so too. And I think I like how, Tegan's sort of the audience surrogate. I guess she's kind of like, she's from Earth, first of all, and she's kind of like sarcastic and whatnot. And then Nyssa is relatable too. I mean, she's not completely alien, but she's, I guess she's kind of the medium between like the Doctor and Tegan.
Yeah. And I like that. I mean, I think that's why the two companion TARDIS is better because you can have the audience surrogate, but you can also have a companion that's like just out there who's really unique.
And then there's K9.
And there's K9. No, but it's like the argument is always made that the companion is supposed to be like the audience surrogate because the Doctor is a Time Lord is too hard, so you need to have someone the audience can relate to.
You can relate to the Doctor too on some levels.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, but...
Well, maybe not Pertwee, but... Well, yeah, Pertwee at some points.
But I think like that's an argument for having a companion from quote-unquote modern-day Earth, because it's someone the audience can better relate to than the Doctor, I guess.
Which, I mean, look, I'm whenever someone's like, oh, I can't relate to the characters, I'm like, do you really need to relate to the characters that much? I mean, as long as they're understandable. You can relate to someone who's not from your time or place. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's a kids show, so it's like you gotta have someone for them to like understand better, I guess.
Like K9.
Yeah, like K9, robotic dog from the future.
Yeah. Easily the most understandable character on the show.
I'm sure. Obviously, the most understandable character was Dodo. Let's all be honest here. Anyway, that's the end of season 19, which brings us...
to season 20?
Yeah, to season 20. We're almost at the 5 Doctors. Which is, right, it's between season 20 and 21, so.
And we're going into the 20s now.
Yeah.
Well,
there's 26 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Because we have 20 and 21 are 5, and 22 and 23 are 6th Doctor, and then 24 to 26 of the 7th Doctor. Yeah, it's 26 seasons.
And then we have the TV movie.
And then the reboot. But not immediately.
Right.
Not for us, at least. But we'll explain that when we get there. We have some plans for what we want to do.
We've mentioned it before. We mentioned we're not going right into the reboot.
No, we have some plans for what we want to do between the TV movie and the
Yeah, we already know what we're doing, but you don't, so...
You'll know in like a year from now. Ha! Actually, about a year from now, might start that third podcast we maybe talked about, maybe. Anyway, getting ahead of ourselves. Email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, arguments, love letters. Your favorite season 19 story. Your favorite Anton Yelchin moment.
There were a lot, no.
Rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. Hopefully this episode serves as a tribute to your memory, which it doesn't, but you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. And a new episode of Triple Play has gone out when this episode goes out. Will have gone out last week, Wednesday, covering the Bourne trilogy, so be sure to check that out. Yep. That's also on our website and everywhere at Triple Play.
Also check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor, and like us on Facebook, and also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch Arc of Infinity. But until then, the end.